Welcome back to Spin Along Molecules. Today, I will explain the B2 part of MSCA proposal. B2 part of MSCA proposal is often overlooked, but it is critical and important. Reviewers do read it and use it to validate the claims made in part B1 of your proposal. A strong B2 reinforces your credibility, shows that you're well prepared, and make your B1 part arguments more convincing. So let's go further into details of B2 part. So first thing, treat the B2 part seriously. There is no page limit, but each section has a suggested page limit. Many applicants think B2 is just a formality, but it is not. Evaluators do read a B2 part to confirm that your proposal is feasible, especially in terms of resources, ethical compliance, and infrastructure. Evaluators do read your CV and try to look at the section that they want to validate your research profile that you mentioned in B1 part. A well-written B2 can boost overall impression of your proposal. So, what is important in the B2 part? Your B2 proposal, section 4 is CV of the researcher. The suggested length is 5 pages. So, make sure that what you have entered in part A and part B of your proposal, it fully agrees in terms of your profile, your CV. Always mention the dates in this format like days, month, and year. The CV should include standard academic and research record. Any research career gaps or unconventional paths like national duties or something should be clearly explained. The date must match the one that you have provided in part A1, so which is the administrative part, mostly written while filing it online. It's an online form, part A. It does not go to the reviewers, but it does go through the administration of EU portal, and they try to validate the dates and your eligibility by matching these dates. So make sure that whatever you write in part A, that exactly matches in B2 part of your proposal. So talking about research career gaps and unconventional path, so the maximum upper limit that you can apply for Marie Curie proposal is 8 years after your PhD. But if that time is longer than that and you have some convincing arguments that you spend this time for national duty or some family duties like a childbirth or your parents were sick or something like that, you can convince, you can still apply, and they will look at those things, and then they will try to see whether you're still eligible or not. But it is very important that you mention the clear dates here. So then CV of the researcher, what you should mention in your CV. So this is the official guideline that you should mention your name. It should include the name of researcher. Here you can add a little bit further details like your email address, your official phone number, any Google Scholar profile, or your LinkedIn address over here. So your professional experience. The recent one should be the first with exact dates, again like in this format. And then the education. The most important thing is your PhD award date. You should very clearly mention and make sure it's accurate in all parts of your proposal and your application, because this tells the evaluators and also EU officials that you are eligible for the Marie Curie application. Applicants who have successfully defended their doctoral thesis before the call deadline are still eligible to apply. but you have to show the proof that your defense is before the deadline. If it is after the deadline, you're not eligible for this call, so you should apply next year then. So how I arrange my CV and how I showed my CV, this is an example. So this is my personal information, my name, my phone number, or my email address, and all these things, which I hide from here. And then I add the section of education. So I highlighted each separate section with underlining it and with a blue color. And PhD first, my award date clearly mentioned, and then master degree, bachelor degree, and then I made a section of awards and fellowships. Then my publication, you can see I don't have many publication from my PhD. These are just 4 publication, but the significant thing is that I am the first author of most of the work. So this is important, that I think you should at least have 2 first author good publication, then you'll find you should apply for Marie Curie proposal. And about research experience, I added in this way. It may not be the best way, you can figure out yourself. I think it's too much detail, maybe they did not read or went through all of it. But you can come up with your research experience maybe shorter. So I basically described the projects that I'm working during my postdoc, and the project that I worked on during my PhD, and what was their outcome, like any kind of funding they achieved or something like that. So you can write maybe this part slightly better than this one. And then the third page of my CV was about teaching experience. I had significant teaching experience, so I mentioned it here. I filed 1 patent during my PhD, so I added that here. The skills section, so all the equipment, analytical techniques, or any other resources that I have used or I have learned, I added all those skills here. And then the presentation, oral and poster presentations, I made the section here. Then another important section is any volunteer activities or mentoring activities, so I made another section here. So I use 3 pages for my CV. Maybe you can use more or less, but I think 2 to 3 pages, nicely written, well defined sections. I think that should be sufficient for the B2 part of the CV of researcher. So then going to the next section, which is 5.1 table. So 5.1 table, overview of participating organization. So this template is already provided, and you have to add this information. So you have to add the information which is necessary, and you can delete the rest of the rows. For example, here is the beneficiary. So beneficiary here is the main host where you spend the most of time, which is your supervisor. So you add its PIC. PIC is personal, I think, identification code of each research institute or university which is affiliated with EU portal. So you add that here, their abbreviation or short name, whether that is an academic organization or not, the country that's located in, and the name of the supervisor. So the beneficiary is must for every applicant. You should add these information here. You should add this information here. And then is the associated partner linked to the beneficiary, associated partner for outgoing, for global fellowship. So this is important for global fellowship. If you are a European permanent resident, and then you can apply for global fellowship, and here you have to fill the information of your outgoing phase, your host. Also the beneficiary and then host. For secondment, so for example, for me, secondment, this was valid, and so I added the information here. So associated partner for non-academic placement. So non-academic placement is basically industrial placement. That's maximum, I think, 6 months allowed, and it is after your proposal. So you have 24-month maximum for your Marie Curie proposal, but if you add non-academic placement section, So you can convince them that you need this, and then you can add further 6 months, and for this you add the information of that industry, that is a non-academic host. For me, I did not selected this, so I only had the beneficiary and the secondment, so which I added the information in this way over here. So this is how you fill the table 5.1. Then next table is in the section 5 is 5.2. So in 5.2, first I would explain a little bit what you should add there. So you should describe the infrastructure, the facilities, the technical support of your host institution. So this is similar to what you have added before in the implementation section, and this is more like a repetition, but this should match, and this should link with what you want to do, and this is available, like this validates those claims. And also equipment, software, any other platform. Mention real name of those techniques. For example, here I mentioned a high resolution microscopy facility, STM, SEM, or any other technique or equipment that is available. Similarly, you have to write in this table the expertise of your supervisor and host group, their training record, previously supervising MSCA proposal or any EU funded projects. So you have to write all that information here, but you need to be to the point, not so many pages you are allowed. For example, for this one, you're allowed 1 page. So 1 page of the length for capacity of the participating organization. So this table is provided as a template. So you add here according to your situation. For example, you have to choose one. For the beneficiary is your main host. It is the supervisor that is supporting you for this. So that's called beneficiary here. So you delete everything else and you just write the beneficiary, and maximum page length is 1 page. And then you go the full name of the beneficiary. So it's not the supervisor, it is the host institution, whether it's a university or an institute. Its full name, its legal entity, it's a short name, that's an abbreviation, the abbreviation that EU portal uses, and the country that it's located in. You write here those things, and then you write the general description. So general description is more like when, for example, a little bit history, research profile, or any other like specific values or good thing associated with that research institute, you can add up there, but you cannot add too much, but maybe 3-4 nice sentences about that research institute would be sufficient. Then is the role and profile of your supervisor. You write what role he will play, and then his experience, like his research experience and all these things. And then the research key facility. This is again kind of repetition what you have given in the implementation section, but it's important that you write their names here. And then this is also important section, that previously funded EU research and training programs and actions and project that your supervisor have done. So this also validates that he is experienced and capable of managing your MSCA experience. So this is how I did it. So I wrote about 1 page on this one, and this is like I deleted everything and just the beneficiary here, and then Max Planck Society is the full name. Its abbreviation is MPG, and the country is the Germany. And then I wrote the general description. So I added like what kind of institute it is, and what kind of work is going on, and what it is known for, and how it will be helpful. It has international collaboration, all these things very shortly, not too much length. And then role of the supervisor. So name of your supervisor, his position, and then you can write like what kind of experience he has, and you should relate it with your MSCA proposal, and then show that he is capable. And then key research facilities, so mention their names. So for example, I have written all those techniques that are available that I will be using, and and then previously funded projects. For example, my supervisor is a well known, and he has a lot of experience of managing MSCA, PhD proposals, individual Marie Curie postdoctoral proposal, and many other EU funded projects. So this is basically to support the claims that your research institute and your supervisor both are experienced, and they have the resources, infrastructure, and they're capable of leading and managing your project. So then again, there is another 5.2 table, which is the capacity of participating organization. So if you are on a global fellowship, you write here for outgoing phase. If you have just secondment, you write this. Not for non-academic placement, you can add it here. And then the full name, the short abbreviation, and the country, and then the general description. For example, this is just a half page length, so I added very little here, like 3-4 sentences about the university, and the role and profile of supervisor, again briefly, and then key research facilities that I will be using, and previously experience of that host managing European funded project. That's also important to mention here. So hope this is clear, the table 5.2. So then we move to the next sections of B2 part. So the sixth section is additional ethics information. So here I would say be honest and clear what ethics means for your field of research, and if your field of research involves human samples or environmental aspects, so acknowledge them clearly and come up with what kind of risk they have and how you will mitigate that risk. And again, if you have mentioned these things in part A, you should have an ethics self-assessment field in part A. This is from statement from official page of EU, and you can consult EU guide on how to complete ethics self-assessment if you're adding a section in part A. If you're not, then you're fine. If you see no ethic issues, still keep this section here and use the same heading, but you can mention that the proposal does not pose any ethic issues. So this is how to manage this this section. And then for me, for example, I was also not sure in the beginning like what I should write here, but then I consulted my lab manager, and we come up with this statement that the project will implement precaution in terms of handling chemicals and products, strictly following existing safety protocols and guidelines, and all materials managed using personal protection equipment like hand gloves, safety gloves, glasses, lab coats. And so basically mostly because I would be dealing with the chemicals and their vapors, and so I will follow strict safety guidelines. So this was from me a statement here, and nothing else. So I did not mention anything in part A, and so I did not have to do that self-assessment. So you, for your field, you can also come up with some kind of statement, but if you don't see anything, you just mention that this proposal does not pose any ethical issues. And then is additional information on security screening. So this could be if you have additional information on security aspect that could not be included in part A of the proposal. And so anything that you have not included in the part A, you can add it here. But for my proposal, there was no security issues, and so there was nothing dangerous that will involve in my work. So I did not have to add anything here. So I just mentioned it is not applicable, but you still add this section. You don't delete the section. So then section 8 is environmental consideration in the light of MSCA Green Charter. So you're allowed maximum half page here, and you should read the MSCA Green Charter, which basically is promoting sustainable implementation of research activities, which aims to make Europe's economy sustainable. Like the work that you are doing, any kind of environmental impacts, how will you mitigate them and ensure that you will follow these guidelines to sustainable implementation of the project. And it's just also mentioned that this will be in line with the principle set out in MSCA Green Charter. So maybe I will give a link for MSCA Green Charter. You can just read, and you don't need to give too much detail here, but you can add few sentences that your work or your proposed plan is in line with the MSCA Green Charter, and these kind of environmental impacts. How will you, if there are, how will you mitigate them? If you don't see, you can mention that there. For me, it was, I am not sure, but this section was not in my proposal. I look back at my proposal, and in 2023, I did not see it. I don't think I deleted it, but this section is not in my proposal. But now in the official guideline, this is there, and you should come up with something here. So then next is the letters of commitment, and you need strong commitment letter from host institution. So this letter is not from your beneficiary, your main host. You don't need any letter. Letter could be from secondment or not needed again, but if you have it, you can add. But for industry, like non-academic placement and for global fellowship, you need the letter of commitment. And they should not just say we support this application. They should clearly define their role, their contribution, and how would they support you. And further in the letters of commitment is, again, this is required for global fellowship. For outgoing phase, you need a letter of commitment before the deadline and during this call. And for non-academic placement for 6 months. So non-academic placement, I would explain again, it is after the completion of your Marie Curie 24 month, you propose it. It is totally optional that related to your work, you can propose that you will do some internship for maximum of 6 months in an industry related to your work, and how it will help you to gain the industrial collaboration, industrial experience, or further like potential for involving commercialization of your product. So for these two things, you need the letter of commitment from your host. And you can use this section to add the scan copies of the letter here in this section 9 of B2 proposal. If you have those letters, you can add them here. And what is required in that? So it should be the heading, it should include the stamp of institution at least, and it should be up to date, like within the call, not prior to call and not after the call, like the date that is mentioned there on the letter, and demonstrate that they show the will to actively participate in the proposal, like not just saying, oh, we support this application, but they should be clearly seen that they are willing to participate in it. An explanation of a precise role, what role they will play, and how they will help you. This will further boost that letter. They can also add any additional information about how good their organization is, how supported their organization is, and a little bit about their history of managing MSCA proposal. I think that will be also helpful. So here is an example or specimen. This is again provided officially by EU website. So you can follow these guidelines, or you can follow this template to make a draft of the letter and send it to your host. Or you can just send this template and they can change it, but this is how it should be written. So, and that's I think all about the B2 part. But final tips: use B2 to build trust, and be concise and clear. Use bullet points, and do not write long paragraph, because B2 part is, although its page limit is not defined, but it's more like technical, so it should not be very long. So for example, for me it was total 5 pages, 3 pages were CV and the rest was on 2 pages. So think of your B2 as that you have got a plan and you have thought through the practical side and you're ready to go. So this B2 should reflect like this to overall sum up your B1 part, or to top of your B1 part. So B2 part should look like this. And yeah, this is more like a disclaimer that this information that I have provided here is from official EU website, and it is for 2025. So if you watch this video for later, like 2026 or later, so there could be some minor changes. I would not say big changes, but you should still consult their official guidelines, and this video will be still helpful for you. Thank you for watching. So hope you find this video helpful for writing your B2 part. I'm also thinking of uploading videos on other fellowship like Alexander von Humboldt Fellowship for Germany, because I have experience of getting Alexander von Humboldt postdoctoral fellowship. So I believe I can give very helpful information on how to write a good Alexander von Humboldt fellowship. So stay tuned. Hope to see you in another video, and yeah, thank you for watching.